pretty positive. I'd say
Uh,
90% of the time.
okay, there's so much to learn, especially for me. Okay, so getting into the questions, what it takes to be a champion runner? You have, I was reading your profile, and I was left shell shocked by the number of medals that you have won at every level. So, just a very simple question to start this conversation: what it takes to be a champion runner?
Do you know, it's really interesting because I'm not sure what you need to generally put into a mixing bowl to become a champion. So if we go from the very start, obviously I have two great parents that gave me amazing genetics. Okay. So
Genetics is important.
that is really, really important at the starting point. And
Okay.
then from there on in, I think lots of things come by a sense of luck. So
Mhm.
when I use the word luck, I mean, for example, one of the best coaches in the world lived 40 minutes from my house. I had great training partners who had, amazing aspirations to be champions themselves, who I looked up to at a really young age. Then I had great role models around me who inspired me every single day to go out there. And then I think when you marry all these things with my personal ambition to be great at what I did, I think, and my ability to work hard with my talent, I think then that could be the magic formula that made me become the champion that I became.
So now that you, at one point, you were a champion runner, and now that you also are kind of in a kind of a coaching and mentorship role,
Mm.
so you would have developed a sharp eye looking into athletes and what. So when you see young athletes, what makes you think that yes, this guy or this girl will surely become a champion in a few years to come. So what are the qualities that make gives you the confidence that instills the confidence in you and you become confident about that yes, these are the young shining stars of the days to come.
That's a great question. It really is. When you look at young people who have dreams and aspirations, you've got to see whether those dreams and aspirations are true. So when I say if they're true, if they act on their dreams and their aspirations. So you cannot just talk and say, I want to be a great champion, and you have, gifted talent. No, no, you've got to be able to apply yourself consistently, be able to work hard, be able to see that when it becomes tough, you don't want to give up. You still want to be on that road to success. And when you see that gem in young people, then already they won't just become champions in sport, they'll be champions in life.
So when you were an active athlete, what was your routine like? How you used to train, and what was your off-season training like, and what you things you used to do before a important championship was about to come, was a few days just a few days away. So, what was your practice like? What was your daily routine like? Because these things will really help to a emerging sporting nation like India, where
Yeah,
athletic is, you know,
I was very consistent. So every single championship, so every single medal that you've seen me win or you've read about me winning,
yeah,
literally I was very consistent in the way I prepared for it for every major championship.
yeah.
So I had a standard way of really making myself focused on the championship in hand. So I would always forget that all the great training I'd done up to 3 weeks before the championships really counted for nothing. It's when that final 3 week preparation is going to be really, really important. And so it was important to have your mind in the right space and also be honest with yourself. So if I was going into a competition and I felt, I slightly had a bad calf or a bad hamstring, it's to be honest with yourself. What can I do to help me get through this and still perform at the very highest level? So that was always really important in that sense of real honesty. And then adding to that, preparation was always going to be difficult. It was never going to be easy because you were always really on that edge of being super sharp or being injured. So you've got to find that right balance when you're working so intensely to do that. And adding to it, I was always very nervous because I knew I'd worked so hard for months and months and months. Now it's the championships. So I always had that sense of anxiety. So I spoke a lot to people who could help me get over those anxious moments in preparation. So good food, good nutrition was always paramount as well. And really, I said the training itself was always about getting quicker, getting more technically efficient, and crucially, also resting properly. You know, I didn't do too much socializing in that last 3 weeks. It was all about the championships.
So, picking this word resting, a few months back, I was in a conversation with a young upcoming Indian athlete who she herself is a runner. Now, she told me in that conversation that resting is as important as training. So, do you agree that resting for athletes, a proper rest, a proper off season is important for getting the peak performance out of your body?
Yeah, I mean, your off-season resting is really, really important as well because you've got to give your body time to recover. You really are battering, and I use the word battering every single day when you're training hard because you're putting your body through things that it really shouldn't be doing. Basically, I've been told that by so many doctors, you know, especially when I was young, because I was pretty short for a hurdler. So I was extremely flexible, very strong, and they were always saying that, you know, my body could get injury a lot courtesy of the type of work I was doing. So rest was really very, very important when it comes to you being prepared, because it's not only physically rest, it's mentally rest. You've got to give your mind time to reset as well. And that is very, very crucial.
Now that you have again given me the clue for my next question, talking about the mental aspect of an athlete. So I want to take this opportunity to know the mindset of a champion athlete. So the very first question being, how do you define a success? What for you would be success?
Do you know, I remember thinking about what success would be now compared to when I was an athlete. So being an athlete and being successful meant, you know, being showered with medals, with accolades, you know, the great things, all materialistic
Mm,
things. That
mm,
was, you know, which
yeah,
me, when I was young,
success.
that's what was success meant.
Yeah. Mm,
Now, as a
mm,
retired athlete and doing lots of other things, I look back and reflect that my true success is the positive legacy that I've left behind. The fact that, you know, I worked hard, I was a good example to people, I was a role model that I wasn't expected to be. And that truly for me is a sign of real success, the legacy that you've left within your sport. So, yes, you've got to work hard and you've got to achieve. But in the long term, you've got to realize what are you leaving behind, and it's got to be a really positive legacy. And then you could really claim that you are successful.
Now, defeats are part of every athlete's journey. How you dealt with defeats in your when you were running, when you were participating, and how and second and most importantly, when success started coming, there would have been a burden of expectations. So, how you dealt with defeats and how you dealt with the burden of expectations that you need to keep on delivering, keep on churning out medals year after year, championships after championships.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm smiling now because that is such a great question and trying to work out which one to answer first, because that is just a
Take your
really
time.
great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, great question.
Mm,
So if we take on the sense of, you know, coming back after, you know, defeat, so let's start that way. In my career, if you read about my statistics, I think I only won 55% of my races that I participated in. And when you think of 55%, that doesn't seem a big
big
amount
number.
of success.
Yeah.
So I had to deal with defeat on many, many occasions. Um, but of course, it's the way that you look at your defeat is the key thing. So if I say 55% of my competitions I lost, but most probably 95, 96% of those races, I was in the top three. So if you're in the top three, then you've got to think to yourself, is that really defeatist? If, you know, you've worked hard, you've got where, and if you're in the top three, is that a really defeatist attitude? So it's about your mindset and how you approach those defeats. Of course, if I've underperformed, then I'm not going to be happy. That is crucial. And that's when you look at yourself in a very different way. So you look at yourself when you've underperformed or someone's just better than you. And that's happened on a few occasions where people have just been better than me. So I have to accept that, you know. And then when you go back to winning medals, refocusing every single year, how do you manage to do that? Because I was always setting myself goals. And whatever your goals are going to be for the next year, they're always important. So when people say to me, which medal is the most important? Each of them carry the same weight for me because I applied myself for each of those championships in exactly the same way. So I cannot put, you know, a more currency on one particular medal when I worked just as hard for a national title as I did for a world title. So they've all got to have the same. So for me, it was always setting my goals right. What did I want to achieve? And have I got the tools? Have I got the tools to be able to achieve it?
Now, at the start of this conversation, you mentioned that you were lucky that you had a coach who lived very near to you, and that coach had a very positive influence in your life. So, want to know what is the role of a coach or a mentor in athlete's life? How does that affect, and how does that affect?
Yeah, I mean, you know, a coach really has got the skills. They've got the, you know, I mentioned the tool bag, right? So they've got all the skills that are necessary for, and when I mean skills, I mean the knowledge that the athletes need to be great champions. So that's the key factor. So a good coach has got to be able to articulate their knowledge to that athlete. And when you coach, my coach coached so many different sports. And when I mean sports within athletics. So he had shot put discus throwers, he had long jumpers, triple jumpers, he had sprinters, he had 400-meter hurdlers, and he had 110-meter hurdlers. He had a huge amount of different athletes that needed his assistance and his expertise. So the key factor is for a good coach is for you to be able to articulate your knowledge to your athletes. Then the next level up from that is to be a coach and a mentor. And a mentor is where you get more on the personal side of stuff with athletes and you get to know them, what helps them tick. So what will make them produce the best training environment for them? What is best for them? So you become more of a guide for them when you're a mentor. And when you're a guide in that sense, you don't have any real influence on their kind of coaching, day-to-day coaching stuff. You're just there as a sidekick for them to help them when, you know, things are not going so well or they're going great. A mentor comes into play in both circumstances.
Now, coaching in itself is a really broad topic, but from what I understand, there are generally two schools of coaching. One kind of coaches who like to micromanage things, and the second kind of coaches, they leave the athletes on their own and they let athletes do mistakes and learn from the mistakes and then grow. While in the first school, they give all the inputs and then and and athletes come from both kind of schools and they achieve the success in their own rights. But so, which school of coaching uh, you came out from, and which school you prefer? Which school of coaching you prefer?
Well, I joined my coach at the age of 15.
Hmm.
And when I joined his training group, he sat down with me and he said to me, there's going to be a time in your life where you will lead all the training.
Hmm.
And I couldn't understand how that was going to be because he was the coach, not me. So how am I going to lead all the training? And then as I got through my career, I realized how right he was, because then he would come to me and say, what would make me run faster? What lifting makes me more powerful? What's the best technical session for me? And then it then becomes a teamwork, more of a teamwork. And the coach is not the leader. he becomes kind of a partnership with you. He becomes your eyes. So I think I was brought up with the first method, you say, more than anything else, really, which was the fact that I was kind of given my information and just let be. Malcolm, my coach, never micromanaged me as a top athlete. He embraced every single element of me and what was going to make me better at what I did and my job in hand.
I've read that there was a phase in your career when you went undefeated in 44 races at a stretch. Could you shed light on this incredible feat? And how did you, most importantly, how did you manage that? Because surely there would have been some mental issues, some physical issues, but 44 races as at a stretch going undefeated, that surely requires some explanation and some uh, world to read and listen about it.
Yeah. Do you know, a great athlete by the name of Carl Lewis
The
spoke to me
greatest.
after I broke my world record in 110-meter hurdles. And you know, one of the things I found to be difficult after then, once you've made history in your sport and you're the best person on the planet at what you do, then it can be quite difficult because you can just lose your way. You don't know what to do. You've lost your goal because you are the person everybody wants to beat. And I remember him saying to me that, you know, sometimes the best way to re-engage your mind is to try and go undefeated. Prove to everybody why you are a champion. So I changed my mindset straight away to thinking, right, I want to win every single race that I go into. And that means I have to really prepare meticulously, but also never let my guard down. And that includes the heat and the semi-finals. You know, it's not just winning finals. You have to win everything
Everything.
to
Yes.
allow yourself to be that person that when your rivals arrive at the track with you, they think, well, I've got no chance today. But you've got to have that aura about you. You've got to wear it. And once you kind of have that aura about you and you wear it with pride, then you have a really good chance, generally a good chance to go undefeated for a very long period. So 44 races was all right.
And as always, all streaks come to an end and your streak ended. But that's fine, as you said. So coming to your association with Wings of Life, we want to know what that is about.
Yeah, well, do you know, I was really fortunate because I was invited to be part of the Wings for Life World Run team right at the very beginnings of it. There was a brand new idea that came out of the Red Bull House to help fundraise for the Wings for Life Foundation. Now, the foundation is about finding a cure for spinal cord injury. That's what we're all about in the foundation. And then there was a way of thinking, well, how can we engage the world in this particular thing? And the World Run seemed to be the most natural process for them. So I was approached right at the very beginnings, and the concept of the Wings for Life World Run was started. And when it was explained is that we don't want to reinvent the world of running, but we want to, you know, jazz it up a little bit by having a finishing line that comes to the runners, not the runners going to a finishing line. So it allows everybody in the world to participate in their own particular way. They don't necessarily have to go and run 10K or a marathon. If you run 200 meters, we're happy that you're part of the Wings for Life World Run. So that's how the real foundations, the efforts began. And as the international sport director, my job at the very beginning was literally to tell this story about the Wings for Life Foundation and the World Run itself and what we want to set out to achieve. And slowly but surely, we're steadily getting to our goals.
So spinal cord injuries for anyone or just for athletes?
No. I mean, majority, I think people don't potentially realize it's just shy of 60% that most spinal cord injuries happen on road accidents. So, and you know, when you think about most of us are around cars or by cars every single day of our life. So potentially that could happen to us. The next highest place where people get injuries are in their homes. So it's not actually, people may think it's extreme sports that create the majority of spinal cord injuries. That isn't actually true. It's everyday scenarios and situations which cause more spinal injuries than anything else. So this is why it's really important to people to understand that every single person on this planet potentially could suffer from a spinal cord injury. And what we want to do is raise awareness of that particular situation, funds that we can get our top scientists involved so they can find a cure for spinal cord injury.
Okay. So how will India be benefited with this wings of life thing?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when we talk about some of the best scientists in the world, the best scientists will come from everywhere in the world. We know that, right? That is for sure. So we don't really ignore anybody who comes with great ideas and projects that potentially need funding. So that will go to the board, and then they kind of look at what this actual what they can actually achieve. So that is one of the big things for us. So what we need to do is get people to understand, to come on this journey with us. We're one world. You know, spinal cord injury doesn't look at India and go, okay, you'll be fine and you won't get any injuries, but Great Britain, you will get a lot of spinal cord. It doesn't work that particular way.
Yeah.
So for us, we are one world, and what we've got to do is get that real awareness across the whole world. Now, India is an incredibly beautiful country. That's the first thing you've got to say. You know, a great population of friendly people predominantly. And so what we want to do is help us take that message. So India as a nation has the ability really to tell the world, look what we're doing to help spinal cord injury as a huge nation. And so I just kind of ask as many people as you possibly can to get involved in the Wings for Life World Run, because you never know when spinal cord injury hits somebody that you know somewhere along the line. And if we do find a cure, how great you will feel that you were part of finding that cure. Yeah.
And you recover, because spinal cord injuries are really career threatening and life threatening, that I know. So want to get into specifics. How are you getting involved in Wings of Life?
Yeah, as the international sport director, I'm really fortunate in that sense. So I kind of travel and I give a lot of the messages. So this year, well, next year, in 2024, the Wings for Life World Run is on May the 5th. So people should always get that in diary. Get online if you possibly can and see what you can do. So you can go on wingsforlifeworldrun.com, or you can get involved on our app. So that's one of the most important things for people to see really what we do. And you can get that information there, or even go onto the Red Bull website. They will always have a link to us in Wings for Life. And then we can explain exactly what we do with everybody's funds, because people got to remember that 100% of money that people donate, even if it's the tiniest amount, that tiny amount goes directly to spinal cord injury research. And lots of tinies make one big. So it's really important for us to let people to understand that. If you can just put a tiny amount, it'll make a difference. So as the international sports director, of course, I'll always be messaging it in that sense and putting that out there. But on race day, also, I'll be at headquarters at Race Control. And when I'm in Race Control in Austria, what we tend to do is make sure that all the racing is absolutely level and fine. No cheating gets involved, so that people can have a good, fun and fair race. So we're really fortunate. I think that it's a lot of hard work because we're watching screens all day, but in the same breath, it's for an excellent cause, and we just want people to have a great time and return the following year.
So this sounds very exciting project. So want to know what's the future, what's the roadmap for this project, and how the team, the core team involved wants to take it ahead, and where will this project be 5 years or 10 years down the line?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great question again. And do you know what? I've got a big smile on my face, because what we want to achieve, right? We want to get to 1 million people running exactly the same time for this cause. That is our ultimate dream. Okay, so if we can get towards that figure, we'll be so happy with that. And when we started off, we had just over 30,000 people that were involved, just about 38,000 people our first kickoff. which is, which is great for us, a
Phenomenal.
first event, right? In that sense. But we need to grow. We need to grow. And now we feel very much that our event is in the calendar for runners. And, we get over 200,000 people running now, but we want more than that. And the more, the merrier, because ultimately, the more people that we get running, it means there's more funds will go to the foundation, more people will know about the foundation. And if that can happen, then literally greatness can happen. And we all know when we pull together what we can do. So for me, that's the ultimate dream, to get 1 million people all out there running exactly the same time with the Wings for Life World Run number on their chest. It'd be just brilliant to see that.
Yeah. Well, I was curious to know, have are you, have you been following the Indian athletic scenario? Was
As in some of the athletes.
yes. Have
Yeah,
you followed in recent years?
yeah, it's always really interesting to see how India is developing in that. And one of the things when you have Chopra, for example, who was a great Olympic champion, an amazing, amazing athlete in just in one particular event in the javelin, it's brilliant because
Hmm.
what happens, it allows other athletes to believe they too can become a champion.
Yeah.
And once you have that going to people, you know, as a black man in the United Kingdom, one of the most important things for us was to look at, if you can see somebody who's achieving, who looks like you have the opportunity of achieving yourself. So it
Exactly.
opens your mind to that
Yeah.
particular
Hmm.
vision.
Hmm.
So if Chopra becomes an Olympic champion and people just like, wow, look at what he's achieved. Hang on, but he looks like me. He speaks like me.
Yeah.
It means that straight away, people instantly across the nation, youngsters can have aspirations not only to be great cricketers. No, we got to be honest, cricket is still
Yeah.
a sport.
It's still the biggest thing in
Yeah,
India.
we
Yeah.
cannot deny that. But it
Hmm.
also allows young athletes to say, do you know what? I have a place in this world as well as an athlete, and I want to be an athlete. So that's most probably the levels that I kind of really appreciate what's happening in Indian athletics at this moment.
Now that you have quoted Chopra, want to pick your brain. What what you see in him that makes him now he is a reigning world champion and Olympic champion. What for you has made him the world champion and the Olympic champion? 10 different people will have 10 different answers for it. But but I want an answer from you. What according to you has made Neeraj Chopra the reigning Olympic champion and the world champion?
Well, I've been lucky enough to speak to him and chat with him, so I
Oh,
know, from first hand in a way that what
yeah,
has made him a great champion.
yeah, yeah.
But as somebody who looks at him, what I notice, he seeks out the best advice. That's really, you get the
He has a
great
really
people
good
around.
team. For what I've read,
Exactly.
he has a really good
And
team around
when
him.
you get a good team who also have achieved greatness along the way, then
Mhm.
of course it rubs off on you. You can't be them, but what you can do, you can rub off and learn from them. So that's one of the most important things. He also has what I describe as an aura. So when he arrives in a competition, that everybody's thinking, man, I have to be at my very, very best to beat him. And if you can arrive in a location and have that aura about you and your abilities and capabilities straight away, that gives you an advantage. And of course, he's won titles. Once you become a champion, a winner, again, that adds to it. So for me, it's marrying all those things: great technician, hard worker, good team of people around you, ability to win, have a great aura, that just makes everybody's else's life very, very difficult when you're going to compete against them.
Now that you've used the word aura, when I see a big fan of Neeraj Chopra here, but when I see Neeraj Chopra walking on to the field, there's only one person that I'm reminded of. It's Usain Bolt. I might be making a really big comparison, but the way Neeraj Chopra carries himself, he's absolutely sure about himself that he's going to win a gold. And the only other athlete that I ever saw who was so confident, who just knew that this is the race and there's only one person who is finishing first is me. The way he used to play with the audience, the way he used to play around, it was the great Usain Bolt, and it's this is remarkable resemblance in the way. this Neeraj Chopra's famous celebration, the moment the javelin left his hand at the Tokyo Olympics, he quickly turned around and he started celebrating. He knew before the javelin landed that the gold is his alone. So
Yeah.
there's a remarkable confidence between these two, and yeah, so the aura, the word that you used is very important, and not many athletes are able to carry that aura on the biggest of biggest stages. It's really difficult.
No, you're absolutely right, and and that's why I use it well, because even now as a broadcaster. So when I work as a broadcaster and I watch him go onto the track, the first thing I want to do is watch how he warm up. And when he does one of his easy, just his warm up throws that just go further than most people have thrown all year, of course, that's a great aura, and people know it and they watch it. And there's that sense of you want to watch what he can achieve. And when he picks up the javelin, you believe it's a sense of you believe he's going to do magical things. So when it leaves his hand, you're thinking, is this going to be a 95-meter throw? It's
Yeah,
literally like that. It's exactly the same you say when you say you used to run. You go on the blocks and you go, potentially, what is this going to be today? Is it going to be a
yeah,
world record? How
yeah,
fast is it going to be? That was the
yeah,
question you always asked. And the same with
yeah.
Chopra, for sure.
Mm. From my understanding, Chopra has never won a bronze. He always deals in silvers and gold. That is the consistency. That is the consistency of the athlete. So yeah, a remarkable feat. So finally, to wrap up this wonderful conversation, your this interview will be read by hundreds and thousands of people, some very young aspiring athletes. So a message to them, how they can become a world class athlete, and so that they get inspired and they can start believing in their dreams, and uh, a developing sporting nation like India, they uh, because now we have grown an appetite of we want medals at international
Yeah,
level. So,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it is a future generation that is going to deliver the medals. So, message for them.
Yeah, first of all, my message would be you belong in the world of athletics, right? That's the most important thing to remember. Do not have fear to think about, do I belong in this world? You 100% do. Second thing is have so much fun, because fun will make you work hard at what you do. So if you're enjoying yourself, you will naturally work hard if you're having fun, and have no fear. No fear, because at the end of your career, whether it is 3 years or 15 years, you do not want to have any regrets. So work hard, have fun, and I tell you, you belong in the world of athletics.
That was a very nice and a positive note to finish the wrap up this conversation. Thank you so much for
My
spending,
pleasure.
and I hope the most important, uh, the most important part of your life that is taking a lot of your time, the wings of life, gets as much success and it grows, and soon your dream of 10 million, no, no, not 10 million, or
1
a
million, 1
million,
million,
1
1 million.
million. 10 million is a really huge number. 1 million people run at the same time, and we have a solution for this spinal cord injuries, which you informed me that it can affect anyone. It doesn't differentiate, and there's still not much of a cure out there, even with the best of the brains in the world working. And we have a breakthrough in this. So I wish you, so it's 5th of May, right?
Yes, yeah,
5th of
we
May
need to
next
get
year.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So don't forget, May the 5th, get people involved, get them to
Yeah.
sign up as much as they can, and
So
encourage
even
their friends to get involved.
yes, so even I can run, right?
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? I always encourage people, if you're not a natural runner in that sense, you can just go for a long walk. Just go, switch on the app, listen to the broadcast, enjoy it, and feel like you're very much part of it. And just go for a walk, but be proud of what you're doing. That is always the next thing, because you've participated in something that is going to
But
change the lives of people, not just today, but for the future.
all right. So with that inspirational note, I will like to wrap up this conversation. Thank you so much. All the best,
My
and
pleasure.
I hope your life and your contribution and your success story keeps inspiring runners for years and years to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very
Bye
much
bye.
for spending
Bye
time
bye.
with us.
Bye
Bye.
bye.